some of them, when they do get out, they say that's their vacation. But they got to go back home. And home is prison.
Wow.
Right?
And have you ever seen them to where they'll actually do stuff on purpose just to go back?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll see them like 3 months later. I'm like, didn't you get out on parole? Like, yeah, man, it was fun, man. But, it's time to come back home. And I'm like,
that's crazy.
I'm like, mind boggled. Like, are you serious right now?
Wow.
But the structure, they love the structure because out on the street, they either probably don't have a home or their home is just chaos.
Wow.
Right? So when they come back to the prison, they know they got 3 meals every day, right? They got a bed, right? They get to work out, no responsibilities.
Wow.
Right? They ain't got to pay bills. They ain't got to pay, no, they good.
Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined today by the one and only light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. What's up, bro?
Billy, hit me with it. I can't call it. Oh, okay. I see the Jays. You brought out some heat today.
Hey, bro. Just so y'all know, bro. My boy Myles. We're also I'm also joined today by my boy, one of my best friends. We go way back. And my former bosses. We'll talk about that in a little bit, bro. This used to be my boss right here.
Back in the day,
Abercrombie and Fitch, bro. This.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah,
this is my boy Myles.
Early days.
So Myles, thanks for being with us today, bro.
No problem.
Myles scared me this morning when he showed me his guns, bro. My man always look like he's swole, bro. He's the one dude I know that his wake up looks swole, bro. Don't lift the weight. He ain't lift the weight in like 2 years and still looks swole.
Yeah, he woke up like this. Not a game.
I woke up like this.
Dog,
exactly.
You ever seen that meme with that little boy, the little black kid that's just super buff, bro?
Yeah, they say he spent like 3 years in timeout.
This is him, bro.
Myles
he grew up. He didn't grow up, bro. We need to make sure we get a picture with him and Myles next to each other, bro.
Negative. I worked hard for it, man. I worked hard for it.
So we're joined today by Myles, man. Myles, appreciate you being here, Brody.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
And AJ, thank you for having your stash with us, joining us today as well. Appreciate
I need my
that.
own intro for the stash for real. Like fireworks, explosions, all of that.
AJ,
Smoke
how long you been
machines.
growing that stash?
Like 4.5 weeks. It look good, don't it? It look good, don't it? For 4.5 weeks. Yeah, you guys will say, wow.
No, I got to
compare it to Billy's real quick.
It was one of the comments I got, which was hilarious. But I
compare it
got
to
another
Billy's.
one last night too. And we're also joined today by the Savage himself, Mr. Billy. What's going on, Billy?
Nothing much.
He trying to hide his mustache.
Yeah, he is, bro. I can't
It's still
even.
no quarantine shave or no shave quarantine. Whatever. it
You
says.
still ain't shaved it at all?
No, and it's still not growing.
I think
It's stagnant.
I think it just
That's it.
stopped, bro. It just got to a point, bro. It just stopped.
He
Yeah.
just gave up.
My
Threw in the towel.
man's goatee is stunted, bro. The growth of his goatee is stunted.
It's a quitter. You got a quitter. Face right here is a quitter.
Oh man, so hey, thanks for everybody being on. Myles, bro, you're the first actual in-guest or in-studio guest that we've actually had, bro.
Man, it's a pleasure.
You
It's
know,
a
I
pleasure.
actually
I'm
get
glad
to
be here.
utilize this chair, bro, my brother. Hey, we did got 6 feet, just so y'all know, so we don't have AJ's wife coming on here talking about fair or foul that I'm breaking social distancing rules like she did last time. So
But they just shook hands, so it's all irrelevant. I don't know.
Right?
I know. It was one of those, bro. I was actually pointing at the chair, and then Myles put his hand down. I was like, well, I ain't gonna leave my
You
boy
see, I
hanging.
paused. I paused with it, though. I wasn't for sure what you wanted. I didn't want to leave you hanging.
I was more so pointing to the chair. My boy Myles threw his hand out there, bro. I was like, I was really in that dilemma, bro. It was like, shoot. I was like, it's social distancing, bro. but
Hey, that's
I was like,
gonna be
do I
on the
leave
clip.
my boy hanging or do I,
Catch
pull
the
the
Rona.
hand back, bro? So you know I'm a loyal one, bro.
Yeah, that's a
appreciate
real
it.
friend.
I just
appreciate
sacrificed myself and my own health, bro, for a handshake.
So Myles, how long have you known Ryan?
Man, we go back to 2010.
Yeah, bro.
2010, I met him
So 10
at the mall, man.
10 years.
10 years.
Abercrombie
Dealing
Fitch.
with this guy.
But
So when you-
the funny thing is though is like we have mutual friends way before then, because we grew up in the same city.
Gotcha. So Myles, when you met him, was he already wearing fake Jordans, or was that like a transitional phase?
Whoa.
Years down the road. or-
Oh, pump your brakes now.
He was actually real back then. Then I don't know what happened as
I don't
time
know what
went.
happened.
I guess he felt everybody know I wear real J's, so I can start making that transition.
Hey, bro.
Ain't nobody gonna call
They
me
ain't gonna
out.
notice.
Hey, so
That's what he thought.
well, Mason's the main one that always his shoe game. He always come to my house with a different pair of shoe on, bro. He got so many new Nikes, bro. I'm gonna have to start checking to make sure the swoosh is going the right direction.
You have to reverse swoosh.
It looked more like a check that you get when you get in trouble in high school, bro. It looked more like a check on the board as opposed to a swoosh.
Oh man, that's all bad.
All right, guys. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you guys coming on today. Well, we're going to change things up today. So the reason I brought Myles on before we actually get into the discussion is I brought Myles on because we've been getting hit up a lot lately from our CO family, our correctional family. And so, you know, sometimes our correctional officers feel left out, that, you know, they don't feel like they get the notoriety that they should. A lot of times people don't even know what the correctional department life is like, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I don't really know much about it. And so, but we're all still in the same family. We're all still in the same line of work in a way. And so for those of you guys that don't know, Myles is a former correctional officer. And I actually recruited him, and now he works with me at the same police department as I am at as a police officer now. And so who better than to talk about this issue than my boy Mason?
Most definitely.
And because he's seen the best of both worlds. So before we get into that, though, I want to, any current events you got? I mean, what's the latest over there on your end? What's happened in the last few days, AJ?
I don't know, man. All my days are running together. We can't go outside. When we do go outside, I got to wear a mask. I'm tired.
How's it been being back at work?
Man, it's different. So we have to get our temperature checked before we're allowed in the substation. So like a sergeant comes out.
Same here.
Checks your temperature, goes through like a list. If you have any symptoms, you get sent home. But it's just weird, man, because, you know, as any profession and, you know, anybody really, like some people are taking it like super serious, and then others are like, oh, this is fake, blah, blah, blah. So, you know me, man, I ain't playing no games with it. So I'm walking around with a hazmat suit on.
Straight up.
Yeah, but you know, I'm coming up with creative ways to still do what I do. Like I'm driving around with a dry erase marker, playing tic-tac-toe on my window. So like the kids run up to my cruiser, put a little check on there, and we play tic-tac-toe. So
I saw you post that. That was pretty great.
I didn't even see that. You get a lot of views on that?
I did. Yeah, I got a decent amount. Yep.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it's been crazy, bro. Folks been tripping. I don't know if it's this quarantine. We've been going on more domestic violence calls. At least it seems like it.
So that was on the news yesterday too. That Columbus, Central Ohio, has like a 70%, 60 or 70% spike in domestic violence.
Wow.
So here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
I've been calling it what's that? What I've been calling it? Side Chick Week. And so yeah, let me tell y'all what Side Chick Week is, bro. So this whole quarantine got folks at home, right? So before quarantine, folks that was doing shady business were able to get away with it because they was out, could say they was out doing somewhere, going somewhere, doing whatever they want to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's over.
So when quarantine happened, they can't be out there, you know, doing their shenanigans, cheating on their girl, whatever they want to do. So with quarantine, they side chicks still want to know what's going on. So side chicks been showing up at the house, calling. So we've gone on an increase of domestic violence calls because side chicks is coming out of the woodworks. And if you're not familiar with what a side chick is Billy looking at me like,
No, you've been called specifically for that situation?
oh yeah, bro, this is a real call. Real
man.
call. I kid you not. I went on a call like last week, bro. And it was the funniest thing because we showed up and they were like all these girls just fighting, right? It sounded like a Royal Rumble. I was like, oh snaps! Like dispatch was like the commentators, like, oh yeah, and off the top ropes, like,
All right, haymaker from left field.
yeah. So we showed up and we get there, and bro, there's a bunch of people everywhere. Like, and then this one girl got lopped up like real good. I was like, oh snaps! So anyways, I get there, I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. There's this dude, and they're like, yeah, I guess he's the dude that's at the center of it. And my man was out there with some slides on with a beer in his hand.
Can't fight with slides on.
Oh my goodness.
So and he was like nothing, like he did not a care in the world, bro. My man was out there, just observing it all, right? Meanwhile, the girls, they got their own little crew with them, and they like. So long story short, one of the girls had came over. The girl that I guess he supposedly got the apartment with, she kind of had an idea that he was cheating on her. So she got through social media, found out that he had another girl at the house. And so she had got a restraining order against this girl. So she pulled up to the house, and then she just like, I guess had a garage door opener, just went up in the house, bro, and just on site, bro. It was like just started scrapping. So then
females are the worst when it comes to fighting,
bro.
The worst,
bro.
They try to kill each other.
Yo, yeah. So on site. So then, when the funny part though is like after the fight's over and everything, I'm like talking to the other girl that got beat up. And so I'm like, yeah, like the other girl said she live here. She like, she don't live here. She don't live here. I'm like, that's what she said. She even had a garage door opener. So then she looked at the dude that was standing behind with the beer in his hand. She was like,
round two.
She got a garage door opener. and he tried to be like, he was like, no, she took that. She had that from like 6 or 7 months ago.
Yeah, I thought everybody was getting the pool. I didn't know.
And then
what was going on.
in my mind, I was thinking like, but these apartments just like brand new. They just opened like a month ago. So my man was just looking like he got caught up, bro. So it was hilarious. And then like same thing, another girl got lumped up the other day because she was involved in some shenanigans. So it's been side chick week, bro.
Stressful.
There ain't nothing worse than like when you show up to a run and party A went to party B's house, and then party A got beat up, and then you got to respond and like, you know, be neutral in the middle. You're like, well, you know, you came over here and got beat up.
Yeah.
Like, you calling me like?
Well, some of the best ones, bro. I love the ones where, you know, somebody calls you and you go out there and you end up taking them to jail, and they're like, but I called you. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I called you.
Should have thought about it before you down 911.
Right. You knew you had warrants. You calling me for it?
You already knew.
That or when they call you and then they act like they didn't call you, like to be tough.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, why the police here?
Like, dog, you
like, my computer said John called it. You John? I'm here because you called. I don't know. You tell me.
Oh man. All right, man. So I don't want to take too much away because I want to get into it today, man. So let's just get into it. Mason, bro. Tell us first of all who you are, bro. Where you come from. You don't have to go into the details, and then you know, I'll kind of start leading the question from there, bro. But tell us a little bit about yourself, bro.
All right, man. Let's see. Officer Mason. Worked for my department I work now. Worked for the Department of Corrections for about 3.5 years prior to that. Kind of got introduced to that world by one of my best friends. His dad was a warden, actually. He had just retired. And it was kind of like a freeze for the state at the time. And he was like, hey, they're hiring again. And at that time, I was personal training. So I was like, nah, my business is going good. But, you know, as you get older, you start thinking about retirements and things of that nature. So I was like, you know, maybe I'll look into it. So as time went on, it's kind of like a little long process. And at that time, that's when actually Officer Tillman was trying to get me to come PD with him.
I was trying to get him coming heavy, bro.
And I was like, nah, I'm already in the process for corrections. I'm good to go. So
I was like a Jehovah's Witness, bro, showing up at his door, bro.
Dude, bugging. I'm like, dude, I'm already in the process. I'm not going to the street. I'm over that. So once I kind of got into that world, it opened my eyes a lot, you know. So I really give a lot of credit to correctional officers because they don't get their just due for what they do. Because at that point, when you go into those walls with those inmates, you know what you're getting yourself into, right? As a patrol, right, and we're on the street, we deal with the unknown every day. But as far as a correctional officer goes, we know exactly what we're getting into. We know who lives in those buildings that we're working in, right? Murderers, theft, whatever the case may be, we dealing with them all. And you have to have that neutral mindset and pay that respect because, as you guys all know, respect goes a long way, whether on the street, but especially in prison, right? And it's a hierarchy in that thing, right? And if you pay your respects and you do your job, and that's not saying that you bow down to them by any means, right? Because you have a job to do, you run it, right? But at the end of the day, you're living with these people 40, 50, 60 hours a week, more than you probably with your own family, right? So you start to build this rapport with these guys that's in there, and you have to make sure you have partners that really have your back in that thing, right? So I remember when I first got there, man, it was mind blowing, right? Coming from like a neighborhood I grew up in, you're used to like gangs and stuff like that, right? But when you get in there, that's all that's in there, right? Everybody clicked up, right? You can kind of feel the tension on the yard or in the building. Like, man, something is not right? You feel it, so what are you going to do to act on that, right?
Right.
Being observant, make sure you let your partners know, hey, you see what's going on? They starting to click up over there by the baseball field or whatever the case may be. So when the cons goes that, my eyes were like just wide open. I remember my first time walking on the main yard. I'm like, it's 17 officers and it's like 1,000
300,
The 300.
dude,
the
and
Spartans.
especially like morning time, 8 a.m. yard, right? That's a mandatory yard for Hispanics, blacks. They out there getting their workout on, or at least they're on the yard, right? And I'm sitting there walking around the yard with more veteran officers who's giving me knowledge and keep me on point. And I'm just sitting there like my day one, I'm like, dude, we are so outnumbered in this thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's the things that people really don't know how it goes down in there. And if these inmates want to jump, they can jump at any time,
Right.
right? Because some of them know I'm never going home. This
Right.
is home for me, right? I'm in here. Judge gave me 35. I'm already 40. You know,
Dang,
so I'm probably gonna die in
so
it.
the rest of your life is spent. So do you think that kind of goes into their mindset, like when it comes to, you know, getting involved in fights or whatever like that, just I don't care mentality? Or do you think that they kind of just like they've come to peace with it and they, you know?
It depends on your age, right? You have dudes who've been doing time for 10 plus years. They've been doing it, right? They did all the grunt work pretty much. So now they just kind of sitting there chilling, right? They're a little older, a little more mature. They go into the library more.
Yeah.
You know, they're just trying to kick back and do their time, right?
Yeah.
Because they know the more fights that break out, the more the officers got to start doing their jobs as far as more searches, right? Because we already supposed to search these buildings, right? Certain cells every day, right? Just make sure we're doing our just due to keep everybody safe. The inmates, including the officers, nursing staff, whoever, right? But at the end of the day, they're smart.
Yeah.
Right? They know how to hide stuff. They know how to hide stuff in plain sight, right? Places that they don't think we're going to look, or they'll put it in a common area. So if we do find it, we can't pin it on anybody,
Gotcha.
right? But at the end of the day, the more younger ones who's 18, 19.
Trying to make a name for
They're trying to
themselves.
make a name for themselves.
Got it.
Right? But at the same time, right, you got the OGs that's on the yard. Okay, this guy got to get beat up because he didn't pay his taxes or whatever the case may be for whatever. You low man on the totem pole,
You
right?
Get to work,
go
bro.
Get to work, right?
Dang.
So a lot of times they're stuck in that because some of them you can tell really don't want to do it, but they already know if they don't do it, it's going to be a repercussion on them,
Oh.
right? So it's like they're in that middle, but so I got to be loyalty to the family, you know. So I got to go do what I got to do.
Man, I got so many. I'm writing all these questions down. I got a ton of questions. So go ahead,
So
AJ, because I know you.
yeah,
I know
so
you
I gotta.
issue.
What's up, AJ?
So if Ryan was in prison,
Why I gotta be
would,
me, bro?
would he get the top bunk or the bottom bunk? Like if you had to guess, like that's
Wherever the OG gets it is the one I'm getting.
Yo,
he's sleeping on the
hey,
floor.
Ryan Fresh in there. He going in that top bunk, man.
Hey,
Get up there, man.
Hey, bro, don't dump the soap.
I'm not climbing up
Don't
that
dump
thing.
the soap.
So what was one of the major differences you noticed when you made that transition from corrections to a street cop?
Let's see. From corrections, right? When I was on training as a street cop, right, and I get out my unit and I try to stop somebody, and he keeps walking, right? I'm like, hey man, come here. Like, what you doing? Because I'm not used to that. In prison, it was
Yep.
like, hey, so and so, come here. He stops.
Right.
He ain't going nowhere. He already know he can't go anywhere.
Right.
Come here. Let me search you real quick. Make sure you ain't got X, Y, and Z on you. And he gonna go about his day. Right. He knows
Yep.
he can't go anywhere. But on the street, it was like they looking at me like, who is you? I ain't do nothing. I'm gonna act like I didn't even hear you, and I'm gonna keep it moving. So that was like, what the? I'm looking at my trainer, and he like, what you gonna do? I'm like, trying to figure it all out, you know. And then you start to figure it out, how to approach people,
Right.
how to communicate, and obviously, with me working in corrections, dealing with certain type of people, your communication skills do improve, right? So you start trying to figure your whole way around it and get it going.
So one of the reasons why I recruited Myles to get into law enforcement, because Myles is a people person. Like me and Myles hit it off from day one. We worked at Abercrombie Fitch, and if I didn't say that, this was my boss at Abercrombie Fitch, and I used to make him mad, bro. Like,
so unorganized.
yeah.
He's still unorganized.
Yeah, I sure am, bro.
Ain't that
I
changed?
sure am, bro. You know, that's my strength, bro. That's my strength is unorganization. So, anyways, like I was a visual manager. He was a store manager, and so without getting off topic, but like my job was the presentation of how the store looked, bro. Like that was my job at one point. So they would have these, what were they called again? Like a facelift? Oh, I can't remember what they were called. Where like
just kind of an update.
Yeah, it was like a store update where we had to update all the mannequins and stuff like that. And so it was like it would be like an overnight thing. So you would come in at night and then your team would work overnight to get it up. Bro, Miles would walk in the store in the morning, bro. Papers would be everywhere. Stuff wouldn't be upright. And then he look at me and I'm looking at him like, bro, like this look good to me, bro. He be so high, bro. I can see it, bro. And he already buff as it is, bro. But his veins would start pumping a little bit more, bro. I'm like he about to swing on me, dog.
Every day I knew I had to come in and there was an update going on. I had to do a prayer before I got out my car.
Bro.
Because I already knew. Officer Tillman is about to have my store looking a hot mess.
Man.
I walk in, documents everywhere. I'm like, where does this go? He's like, I think that's to that mannequin over there. So I'm like, let's walk this store, man. Let's
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds you like you go to a restaurant and then you look at the menu and the food look bomb on the menu, but then when you actually get it out and you look at what you actually got,
the finished product,
it like this does not look like. That's what my mannequins will look like, bro. But that's what it will look like. But anyways, mannequin was not drawn to scale. But one of the things I noticed with Mason is that he had a really good ability to talk to people. And very personable. Everybody loved working for Mason. But then he also knew how to go hard on people. And he had it like if folks need to get put in their place, like Mason would do it. And he looks like I ain't messing with Mason. So I was like, bro, he'd be a phenomenal police officer. And like I said, we grew up in the same city. So that's one of the reasons why I recruited Mason into law enforcement. And trust me, it took years. Like I would call Miles over my house and be like, hey bro, let's talk. He come over with the wife. We supposed to be watching the movie, and the whole time I'm like, okay, so the way the 401k is set up, bro, and so
pitching me every time. I'm like, dude, didn't I come over here to watch a movie?
Oh man!
Before we watch this movie, though, man,
yeah,
I'm trying to tell you.
Let me tell you, I be selling the wife. I be telling Kimberly to sell his wife because they friends and stuff. But I want to ask you though, what ultimately made you make the jump from corrections to law enforcement? Well, I don't want to say law enforcement because corrections is a form of law enforcement.
Exactly.
So, what made you make the jump from being a correctional officer to a street cop?
For me, it's helping people, right? So, inside the institutions, right? I know who I'm dealing with. These guys' minds are pretty much made up, right? They know what they want to do. They're always trying to get over on you, right? I felt the best way to help this world is to get to the youth, right? So I'm dealing with grown men with their minds made up at this point, right? Some of them are starting to change, right? They're not everybody wants to stay in that life, right? Some of them just made honest mistakes, right? I met one guy and I'm like, dude, you just don't even fit the mold of being in prison, right? And he was like, dude, I just was drunk one night. My phone fell off my lap. I reached down on the ground, grabbed my phone. I looked up. I ran into a parked car, and two people were inside, and they got hurt. That's how I'm here, right?
Wow.
Had a great job, honest dude, right? Things happen. So I won't say that everybody in that thing is such a violent person. A lot of them just made honest mistakes, and that's where they're at. And sometimes once they get in there, they get stuck though, because they have to start choosing a side, and then then they get stuck in that life, right? And even talking to some of those guys, some of them, when they do get out, they say that's their vacation, but they got to go back home, and home is prison.
Wow.
Right?
And have you ever seen it to where they'll actually do stuff on purpose just to go back?
Yeah. And I'll see them like 3 months later. I'm like, didn't you get out on parole? Like, yeah, man, it was fun, man, but it's time to come back home. And I'm like,
that's crazy.
I'm like, mind boggled. Like, are you serious right now?
Wow.
But the structure, they love the structure, because out on the street, they either probably don't have a home, or their home is just chaos.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So when they come back to the prison, they know they got 3 meals every day, right? They got a bed, right? They get to work out, no responsibilities.
Wow.
Right? They ain't got to pay bills. They ain't got to pay, no, they good. Right?
Dang, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So,
There's a handful of people that live where I work who claim 2 different sets. Like they have a set outside of prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like they're part of, you know, whatever set, and they'll have the tattoos and whatever to match, wear the colors. And then when they're locked up, they have a completely different set that they rep. And they'll tell you like, oh yeah, the streets are dangerous, but I'm way more safe when I get locked up. So if you catch me slipping, you catch me slipping. And it's like, hold on. So you're more comfortable incarcerated than not incarcerated. And you're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Like I'm protected. Like I'm untouchable in prison.
Yeah.
Wow. So that actually brings me into a question that I had wrote down was, tell me about how the racism, I don't want to get there. Actually, that's another question. Tell me about how the prisons dictate what actually happens on the street. Because that's something I learned is like,
they control everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Like the politics of the prisons that control what happens on the street. Because that's not a lot of people like Billy. And I'm sure Billy I'm sure this is all new information to you.
Yeah, it is.
Billy's like, there's like you want to watch a TV show. So tell me like the politics behind it and how what happens in there actually dictates what's going on the street sometimes.
You know, kind of going off what he just mentioned, right? On the streets, they rep their gang, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they come into the prison, they still rep their gang, but now it's about your race, right? It's all about your race, right? You can be from LA, you can be from wherever you want to be from, right? But at the end of the day, I'm African American. I'm a rock with the African Americans, right? I'm Hispanic. I'm rocking with the Hispanics. I'm white. I'm rocking with the whites. That's when you get off that bus. That's what it is, right?
Man.
When they get off the bus and they go into the intake building, right? The moment they get into that intake building, whoever runs that yard makes their rounds. Go, hey, can I go talk to him real quick? They'll go talk to him real quick. Kind of give them the lowdown on how the yard works, right? And then from there, once they get off their orientation, pretty much like a little 2-week thing, they hit that yard. They already know where to go, who to communicate with, right? From there, we're not a fool. Cell phones get snuck into these prisons all day, every day, right? Because the value of a cell phone to you is nothing, but the value to a cell phone to them inside is everything, and they're gonna pay top dollar to get that cell phone, right?
Wow.
And only thing you have to do from there is they have telephone numbers, right? They communicate. Everything is about money at the end of the day, right? This drugs got to keep flowing. This money got to keep flowing, right? And all those little street gangs, they're all into one inside the institution, right? But it's all under, let's say, for example, Mexican Mafia, right?
Yeah.
Right? So it just goes up to the chain. Boom. He makes his phone calls out, right? To make sure the money just keeps rolling, right? They got family members, associates who's doing their job on the streets, right? And it's putting that communication right back down.
That's crazy. So I remember working a case, and I think it was involving the Mexican Mafia, and we've all probably seen all the movies and stuff where you almost draw like a flow chart, and you have like these huge officers that are part of the Mexican Mafia that are locked up in prison, but yet they're still calling the shots for what everybody's doing on the streets.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you see stuff like that on TV, but like that's real stuff.
It's real.
And, you know, I've talked to people before, and sometimes out of fear of what could happen to them, getting the green light on them or whatever, a lot of times that green light I've heard comes from prison. You know what I mean? So, you know, have you been able to see like a difference from now working behind the walls to on the street, or just has it helped you as an officer, do you think, of like knowing, having like a pulse on the street?
Yes. So crazy, right? I was actually getting off training, right? It was my last day of training, and I stopped this guy walking, right? And he tried to ignore me, right? So I finally got him to stop, and I'm talking to him. Did not want me to let him search him, right, at all. So I'm like, all right, man, what's going on with you? I thought you don't have anything legal on you. You ain't got nothing to worry about. So he's like, oh, well, I'm on parole. So I'm like, all right, I'm giving this just due at this point, right? Just trying to be cool with him a little bit. So I'm like, oh, what institution were you in prison at? So he tells me the prison he is at. So I told him the prison I used to work at. That just broke the whole barrier for him. He's like, oh, you can search me, man. You can search me.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, cool. you know what I'm saying? It just broke the whole, because he already understood where I was coming from, and him dealing with correctional officers for so long, right? I wasn't about to do him dirty. If you got something illegal on you, you got something illegal on you. We're going to deal with that. But I'm not going to plant anything on you. I'm not going to treat you with no respect. You got what you got coming, right? And that's helped me out a lot. And just communicating with these guys on the street helps out a lot, just because from the communication stories I've had with the inmates in prison, right? Because you communicate them on a daily basis. You just don't talk to your partners, right? When you work in prison, you just don't talk to your partners. You talk to the inmates because they live in your building. That's 200 dudes that live in your building coming to you, asking you questions. They need toilet paper. They need this. They need that, right? And then you just start asking them like, so what got you in here, right? I can easily get on the computer and read their file, but I want to hear from your mouth.
Right.
What did you do? Or who lied on you to get you here? Right.
Right.
I know you wasn't there, but you just
You're
somehow
right. Minding your own business, walking down the street.
Right. But you start trying to build that rapport with them, because at the end of the day, I have to live with these guys 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Right. So we have that respect factor, but we're not going to cross boundaries. Right. Don't ask me nothing about my personal life. I'm not going to get too deep in your life. Right. So from there, it's easy to get things done. Right. So, hey, I need this done. I got you, Officer Mason. Boom. Right. Hey, so-and-so was talking out of line. Who did it, Officer Mason? Boom. They'll go holler at him. Next, the dude's coming to my office. Hey, Officer Mason, I want to apologize. I'm actually going to go lock it up, though. Oh, yeah, you go lock it up for the rest of the day.
Dang.
Right?
Yep.
So it's a give and take, right? And one thing I learned when I first got into the prison was you got two different officers, right? You got the more chill, relaxed officers, right? Which is cool. Then you got the strict, hard-nosed officers, right? You have to have that balance, right? Because if every officer in the prison goes hard, the inmates are going to get pissed, right? They're going to get so mad, and it's just going to tear everything up. But if you got all officers that's chill and relaxed, they're going to start taking advantage of things. So you need that proper balance, right?
You bring up a good point, and that's the same thing on the street. And so, and we can all agree to this now, is like, on the street, you need the best of both worlds. You can't have an officer that is just, all they do is just go hard all the time. You can't have all your officers like that, is what I mean. But you also can't have all your officers that are just also all community outreach either. Like, they all have a place. And it's always good to have the best of both worlds. So, like, imagine a world where, we lived in a society where all of our officers were all about community outreach. Well, if it was all about community outreach, you're going to have people.
It'd be chaos.
Yeah, it'd be chaos. Folks be breaking into stuff. Folks wouldn't be respecting nobody, just doing whatever they want to do. But then at the same time, if you had a whole bunch of head busters, well, all we do is just go out there and bust heads all day, then you wouldn't have the respect of the community that you need in times where you actually need them. You know what I mean? And so
100%.
So I think that's the way it works in the prison system is very reflective on how it is on the street as well. You need that balance. And that's almost, and that goes with any profession, I think. I mean, it's almost just a testament to how different we are as human beings. I just don't like that. One of the things that bothers me is when you have people that say you need to be like me, or you need to be like this, or you need to be like that. Like, let me be me. Let me do me. Like, don't try to force me into your mold. And if I'm not your mold, don't judge me because I'm not who you are. Exactly. And I think that's what one of the issues is like, I'm different from you. And because I'm different from you, you want to judge me because I'm different. Don't judge me because I'm different. Just recognize that I am different. I just watched a movie yesterday. And it's actually pretty good. I recommend it, especially if you have kids. It is Trolls 2. It's pretty good, actually. It is really good. I know.
The cartoon,
man. Y'all laugh at me, but watch it, especially if you like music.
Respect I had for
it's funny you said that. One of my other good friends, he just posted on his Instagram that he just watched it a couple nights ago with his kids, and he's like, "Great movie."
It was. It honestly was though. And you know why it was though? And this is why. Before I don't want to go off on no tangent, but the reason it's good though is because like they basically broke all like genres of music up into their own like little towns. So like hip hop. So like you go through the funk town, bro, and it's all funk music and stuff like that. And then they talk about how like they get mad at the people that they get mad at pop because they talk about how they introduce what's the thing that T-Pain would always use for his voice.
Auto-tune?
Yeah. So pop gets mad, or hip hop gets mad at pop because they're like, y'all ruined hip hop with auto-tune. It's just funny. But anyways, at the end of the movie,
Ryan was really into this movie.
Yeah,
like,
he was.
He was in.
Hey, don't hate. Watch when y'all watch it, you'll be like, oh, that was great. But anyways, the reason I brought that up though is you always know behind cartoon movies and stuff like that, there's a message behind it. And the message behind it is that we can all kind of be who we are without having to be judged or being removed from the person we are. And so I think that's very, very true for the professions that we work in, especially if you're out there and you're a correctional officer or you're a police officer, is like, be you. Like I tell all of my new trainees, like, you're going to learn different ways to do this job. And I think that's one of the best things for me that I loved it. And I tell all my trainees is like, you're going to realize like when you get on your own that you can do this the way you want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's one of the best things about this job. The sad thing though is that we have some people that try to force you to do it the way they would do it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily meaning it's the right way. So,
And touching on that, I remember when I was on training, I would call you, right? Because I was kind of stressing out, like, man.
I almost got this dude in trouble a couple times.
But one thing he always told me, because I had great trainers, right, throughout my process, right? But all of them are different, right? So I'm trying to like mold them, but I'm like, nah, this really ain't me. This ain't my style, how I communicate with people, right? So I would call Ryan, and he'd be like, dude, just be you. Learn from your trainers. Take the techniques they give you, right? Keep some, throw away some, but mold them into how you are, and you'll be the best officer you can be, right?
Yep.
And I was like, as I sat there and thought of that, I'm like, dang, I used to preach that to people in the prison as well when I used to train people in the prison that came in. And I'm like, learn from all these different correctional officers because they all have a lot of knowledge. Because some of them been here 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? Doing this job, right? So some of them have different molds, but you have to stay true to who you are, right? Take that knowledge, hold on to it, and then create that own vibe for you.
That's the only way we'll be successful. Go ahead, AJ.
Oh, 100%. And it's funny that we brought these up back to back. People ask me all the time, you know, AJ, how is it you're so successful on social media? How is it you got the respect in the hood? The kids love you, whatever, despite the circumstance that I'm in. And those are always my two answers. The first answer is you have to be able to be a light switch, right? Like, so yesterday was my first day back at work. I'm driving around, and it's no secret, we're on quarantine. So the police aren't out being as proactive as they normally are, which in return, the gangbangers, drug dealers, criminals just in general are out in huge numbers, right? And that's nationwide. So yesterday was my second day back. I really didn't get a chance to ride around on my first day back. So I'm like, I'm gonna ride around the neighborhood, see who out, catch up with some people, stop by some people's houses, you know, do what I do, right? So I'm driving down one of our notoriously gang affiliated streets, right? And it's packed. I mean, it's like the late 90s. I'm like, it's people on the corner with backpacks. I mean, this is crazy. I ain't seen something like this in years, right? So I'm like, you know, I'm gonna cruise down, got the windows down, saying what's up to people. So I stop at like the main house, and it's probably 10 people out there. And the same as with prisons, there's a hierarchy, right? And you can normally tell who the highest up because they're saying nothing at all. They're letting everybody else do the talking. They're kind of step back from everything else. They're always super polite when you talk to them, and we probably know who they are because they're personal, right? So I know who the guy is. I'm not gonna say his name on here. So I stopped. And I'm like, hey, what's up, such and such? And he's like, oh, you back, huh? He's like, I heard. And he knew about it. He's like, I heard you had a baby. I'm like, yeah, I did. I'm like, you know, how's things been? And he's like, man, you see it? He was like, it's wild out here right now. And I was like, yeah. So out of nowhere, a younger cat walks up. And he's like, man, F the police, man. Like, what you doing? Stop it here, harass us, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of smirked. I'm like, man, what you say? And he's like, you heard me, blah, blah, blah. What you gonna do? So I put the car in park, but in like a manner that everybody could see it, right? Like I like aggressively do it. Yeah, so everybody could see like, oh man. So I slam it in park real quick and I open the door. And the main guy that I was originally talking to, he's like, nah, Jay, we don't need that. We don't need that. He's like, I got you. Grabs the dude, takes him in the house, comes out. I don't know, 30 seconds later, dude's apologizing. Oh, damn, I'm sorry about blah, blah.
Man went in there, got spanked.
And then out loud, the dude goes, look, man, he's like, don't get it twisted. He's like, Jay might be out here dancing and doing all of that. But the moment you like press that button, it's a wrap. So I always tell people like, and it's the same on the flip side, right? Like you have people who are so firm, like, I'm gonna go out here, I'm Billy Bad, blah, blah, blah. You know, I got 87 magazines and all of this. And it's like, that's cool. But if you don't have that other side to you where you could like actually talk to these people or whoever it is, the area where you work, like they're humans, they're not gonna respect you.
It's a balance. Go ahead.
100%. And then the second thing with that is you have to be yourself. You have to be yourself because people have a way of seeing what's real and what's not. That's human nature, right? Like I could tell both of y'all are being y'allselves right now. Y'all relax. We're having a good conversation. The moment y'all start doing something that's not in your nature, I would be able to pick up on it, even though it's through a computer screen. Yeah, it's human nature. And even more so in the inner city, because there's like a certain like hood intellect that people develop because of the way that they live, especially in the prison systems as well. They'll pick up on it faster. Like, nah, that's not you. And they don't want to talk to you. Like, who wants to have a conversation with somebody that's fake? So those two things are spot on. 100%.
Man, I've had countless people tell me like, man, like just in my interactions with you when I'm on a stop, like I can tell you're being real, you're keeping it real with me. Because the thing that I always recognize is I always try to get out on a person's level, meet them right where they're at. And a lot of times, and I think that's kind of a testament to where you and I grew up at, Miles, is like you almost had to where we grew up at. I mean, we grew up in Rialto, and Rialto, it was a difficult place to grow up, but it was one of the best places to grow up for me. Like, because I got to experience so many different things. But and what I mean is like I had friends, like I came from a 2-parent home. Like I told you guys my story before. I came from a 2-parent home, and I was grateful my parents did a phenomenal job raising me. But I had many of my friends that didn't come from 2-parent homes. I had some of my friends whose dads were locked up in prisons. I had some of my friends whose, you know, dads were killed or whatever it may be, but we were all homies. And so like, because they knew who I was, because I knew who they were, because, you know, I would call their mom my mom or vice versa. Like the level was kind of the equal playing field for me. So then when I left Rialto and went to Vegas and all these other things, I start seeing that there are affluent people out there and that are out of tune with what's really going on in the neighborhood and vice versa. And so growing up in the neighborhood, it almost developed that natural ability for me to adapt to people where they're at. And I think that's where we miss the head sometimes as first responders or law enforcement officers, is we get so ingrained in, I got to be this stern with somebody. I got to be this stern, when quite frankly, is you got to be, it's the opposite. It's like, you got to kind of, you know, take that layer back a little bit. Don't take it back to where you feel like they're going to get over on you.
Yeah, don't compromise.
Don't compromise your officer's safety or nothing like that.
But dial it back.
Exactly. You know, always have a plan in the back of your head to punch somebody in the face. AJ knows all about that. But but you know, also be able to pull those layers, that onion back, man, and really just get on their level, man. So there's so much value in that. And I'm sure that if you work in custody, you have that advantage more so than others. The hard part for you, and this is going to go to my next question for you, Mason, is this a myth or is it truth? The question is that, you know, when you work in custody for so long, you almost feel like you're becoming one of the inmates. Have you heard that before, AJ?
No, I haven't.
So one of the things I've heard is like, you get in when you're in those walls for 4 days, because most of your time is spent behind 4 walls with prisoners. And what I've heard is like, you almost feel like you're an inmate, not necessarily like an inmate, like, hey, all your rights are taken, but
I wouldn't say, like you said, right? I wouldn't say like all your rights are taken, anything, but you are, let's say, obsolete from the world, right? Because no cell phones, no nothing, right? No television. They might have a TV, but you ain't watching what you want to watch, right?
Yeah.
So those 8, 10, 12, 16 hours you're in there, you have no clue what's going on in the outside world.
Wow.
No clue, right? So sometimes I was even thinking like, man, hope my wife good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
wow.
But I know she knows who to call if an emergency happens, right? But when you go into those walls, like, you're blank, just like they are.
Wow.
Right? You don't know what's going on the freeway. Is there traffic right now? Is there a fire in my neighborhood? You have no clue, right? You're just so out of the loop of everything.
So that's why I appreciate a lot of our guys that work in custody, and that was one of my selling points for Mason was like, look, like, you know, I know things are cool in there, you like your job, but the one thing that's advantageous for me as a street cop is that I'm still in tune with the world. Like, I can still have my phone. I can still call my wife. She can call me. There'll be times where she'll call me on a call and I'll pick up like, hey, let me call you back. I'm doing something. But she knows she can hear my voice. When I was involved in a critical incident recently, you know, I was able to call her almost immediately. And so what would you be able to say or encourage, or what type of encouragement could you give to those people that work in custody to tell them to keep in that fight? Because, you know, again, sometimes they feel left out. And I want to let you guys know, you know, me, AJ, Billy, like, I, you know, appreciate the work that you do, but you can speak more specifically to, you know, what type of encouragement could you give them to keep doing and keep pressing forward in those prisons? Most
definitely, because it's a thankless job, right? Right. Even as patrol cops, right? It can be thankless, but sometimes you're driving and people waving at you, and that feels good, right? Yeah. You get that recognition. But when you go into those 4 walls, if you don't post it on social media, nobody knows what you do, right?
Wow.
Those inmates really don't care about you. right?
Wow.
It's a thankless job. You go in there, you do the hard work. You're trying to keep these criminals inside there. At the same time, you're trying to keep them safe because you don't want them hurting themselves, right? But you're putting yourself in danger every day you walk into those gates, right? Especially with all this COVID stuff going on right now, right?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
You're stuck in there with these people, hoping they don't have it, right? And I know you're doing your proper PPEs or whatever to keep yourself safe, but at the end of the day, there's so much things that go into those four walls, right? And I can't speak for a jail, but I just know in the prisons, at least the buildings I worked in, the inmates did a good job of keeping it clean, right? Because they ain't trying to get no bacteria or anything as well, right?
Yeah.
You have your cells from here to here that's dirty, but you just kind of check those dudes, hey, clean this up. But for the most part, all those COs in there, man, they do an amazing job, right? Trying to keep those people in line, right? Keeping that distance from them. You know, it was a great career for me at the time, but for me, I felt it was a personal thing that I had to make a jump to come to the streets for my own personal reasons. But for the people who are still in there doing their job, man, I'm thankful for them. Thankful for everything that they do in there and much appreciated. And make sure they just stay safe, man, out there.
So I realized I had took somebody to jail last night, and when I was there, I started feeling like my sister always calls me a germaphobe. Like I just hate germ. Like I'm not the most cleanest person, like as far as like everything needs to be like freaking, you know, wiped down with, you know, Clorox, but I'm like a germaphobe. Like I don't really like germs or touching nasty things. So at the jail last night, I'm just looking at folks like, so my man that was handcuffed, he had got up and there was like some hand sanitizer. And so like he, with his hands behind his back, he like squirted some hand sanitizer in his hands. I was like, hey man, thanks for being clean, my brother. I appreciate it. And so like, then there was this other dude that was sitting next to him, bro. And this was like the funniest thing ever, bro. Like, you know what's funny is like, if you ever take somebody to jail that like, you know, they probably did something that they shouldn't have been doing, obviously. But like when they get there and they see somebody that's like real crazy, bro, and like, just look at their facial expression, bro. It's like hilarious, bro. So
Oh shoot.
Oh, bro. So the dude I brought there last night, I kid you not, bro. We get there and like he's chilling, like there's no, all the chairs are empty, and then this one dude, this other officer from somewhere else brings this one guy in, bro. He has one of those, the little mask on his face, but like he's not wearing it like he's supposed to. He's like covering his like it's covering his eyes and his nose. So that was hint number one. My dude was just crazy, right? So then, like, he sits down next to the dude. He ain't got no shoes on, bro, barefoot. And he just, like, at first he was quiet. And then, like, after a while, he was like, whoop, whoop. so the dude I had brought in, like, looks next to him. And then he just, like start cussing out this imaginary girlfriend, like, you mother effer got me put up in here and blah. Like he was going off, like talking to himself.
Like she was right there.
Like she was right there. Then he was like, somebody would say something. He's like, what, y'all want some too, mother? Like just start cussing, right? So my man, like that I had brought in, bro, his eyes were about to pop out of his head, bro. Like he started trying to scoot to the furthest part of that seat that he was sitting in, bro. And I was like, and like he was one of those dudes that he looked like a cat or a dog, bro, that you about to like drop off to go get clean. He was like, please don't leave me here. Please don't leave me here.
Please don't.
So, but anyways, I brought up that story though, is I was just like, man, it's dirty up in there. These guys are on the front lines, COVID-19, all that other stuff. I can leave. They can't.
Yeah.
They can't.
Just to put things into perspective, Miles, can you tell us how many times you have seen someone cover themselves in their own feces or like throw it as a weapon?
Only one time, man, but I heard so many stories of that, and that was disgusting.
Bro, I've seen it at the county jails a couple times.
Cover themselves in it?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
don't touch me. Don't touch me. Back up,
head to toe,
and I don't want to touch
have it in their hand, ready to throw. And then another story, just to really let people know what these deputy sheriffs and intake officers have to deal with is. This was my first year on the streets. I take somebody to county. We're going through the intake process. And when you first walk in to the right, there's like a small window. And that's where they put like the really crazy people. And I mean, it's a show. Every time you look in there, like something wild is going on.
The human zoo, bro. That's what I call it. The human zoo.
And they're supposed to like walk by and observe every so often, right? So I'm new. I'm still like super excited to peek in, right? Like, man, I wonder what's going on in here, right? So which now I know better, right? So I walk in, drop my guy off. The hand sanitizer's over by the window, so I grab the hand sanitizer. I peek in, and a guy had a scab on his wrist that he had picked off, and he sees me, and it was like SpiderMan. Like, he goes like this, like, so he raises his hand and squirts blood at the window. So I'm like, what? So I tell the deputies, I'm like, hey, this dude in here like bleeding, he's squirting blood everywhere. And they're like, oh, I don't know his name, Josh. Oh, Josh is at it again. So, you know, they gear up and go in. I mean, dude broke out of his pickle suit, which is like a green suit for like suicidal, highly combative patients or people. But that's something y'all deal with, is they had to go in there. This dude had picked the scab off, which means he had already cut it before and did this. Somehow bit his vein open and was squirting blood out of his vein like Spider-Man. And the deputies had to go in, like, all right, like, we got to go in and, you know, stop this dude from doing that. And it's the same thing with like people who like cover themselves in their feces, which is extremely common in jails. Like, y'all got to go in and deal with that, to where if we show up on the streets and the dude is covered from head to toe in poop, we're going to be like, well, all right, call the firefighters, you know, get somebody on standby. We're going to gear up. It's going to be 10 cops. We're going to come up with a plan. You know, I mean, we still have to deal with them, but man, hats off to y'all, because y'all in these confined places. And
hey, I just got the title for this podcast, bro. SpiderMan Locked Up.
SpiderMan Locked Up. Like,
there it is, right there.
Insane.
Hey, it's funny. There was a time I went to the jail a couple of times, bro, and they had this dude, same thing in that same, you know, that room where they only got the little small window, bro.
Yep.
And you could just hear this dude. Like, every time I walked in there, he always be singing the like a song, bro. And like, it was funny. He had the worst voice ever, bro, but he knew all the songs, bro. So he was like a human jukebox. So I'd be like, I'll walk in there, like, hey, bro, sing some 112 for me. He was like, which one you want? I'm like, do peaches and cream.
Peaches and cream. I was just gonna say that.
No, so he started doing the beat. He'd be like, yeah, bro. He'd be like, peaches and cream.
Right, and they're like,
bro. So you have those guys, and then you have the ones that are like super combative, bro. That you walk by the door and you look at, you like, what the, like, it's just crazy the things to think about. So shout out to anybody that works in custody, like straight up. Like, I haven't worked in custody. Like, my whole career started on the street, and so I don't want you guys to go a day and think that you guys are not valued, because you guys are truly, truly valued. Like, we are one big team. And I think sometimes there's a notion that we're all on different teams. Like, no, we're one big team, because the moment I arrest somebody from the street, I got to take them somewhere. And who's going to take care of them when I take them there? You are. And when you release them from wherever they're at, who's going to deal with them? We are. So it's a big team. And so, but you know what? You're right. Sometimes you guys don't get the credit that you deserve. And the advantage that we have by working in the street, and Myles, you just said this a second ago, is as a police officer, yeah, I deal with some bad people. Yeah, I deal with some crazy people. But you know what? I also get to wave to the kids that are playing basketball in the driveway. I also get to go help the dying, you know, person that, or give CPR to the person that might need some extreme help. We get to have face-to-face interaction with good people still. Whereas if you're in custody, not to say that there's not good people not locked up, but at the same time, you know that you're dealing with people that have done some heinous things, and you sometimes get left out, and the world wonders where you're at. So shout out to you guys, because I really appreciate you.
And there's also, I don't know if it's the same way there as it is here, but I have a pretty good working relationship with our deputy sheriffs who, you know, run the jail and work in the jails and whatnot. And it's almost like a game, right? So we'll bring somebody in who's super combative, or like just is constantly known as being a pain. And I'll look at the deputies and intake and be like, yeah, I'm dropping him off. Like, he's y'all's, you know, until whatever.
He ain't my
and
problem anymore.
They'll be like, okay, you'll hear from us. And then I'll be off work, you know, 2-3 weeks later, and I'll get a text from one of the deputies like, hey, you know, such and such, like, yeah, he getting out this morning, so he'll be out there when you get to work. I'm like, all right. I'm sure I'll be bringing him back. So,
man,
so it's one thing too, like he was talking about earlier, like how sometimes we'll stand back, right? Fire got it, right? But when you work in, at least in corrections, right? Ain't no fire coming in that thing, right? So you walking past and you see an inmate banging on the window, like, hey, he's out, right? You there, right? You can't drive to that call slow. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be the first one on scene. You know what I mean? You there. You know, you guys get that cell door open. You get that other inmate out, cuff him up, set him down, and CPR starting right there. Right? You ain't got time to wait on that nurse. Obviously, the alarm is hit, right? So the nurse is coming because we put out a medical emergency. But you first on scene,
Dang,
right?
bro.
You got to get that CPR going. Tell the control officer to drop whatever the mask down because I ain't put my lips on you.
Oh,
right?
yeah, negative.
So you're doing all those things, right? And kind of just going back from the differences, right? Obviously in prison, you know what you're dealing with, right? You know what it's dealing with. On the street, we deal with the unknown every day, right? This dude seems real cool right now, right? But is he about to level up on me? What's about to go on? Prison, you already know, like, oh, he seemed cool right now, but I already know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
I know who this guy is.
You got a profile on it.
He got his profile, right?
Yeah.
On the street, it's like, oh, even the lady, right? I was talking to one of my partners the other day. He said, man, this lady was so cool. And then she was walking up the street. She wouldn't stop. And then she turned around and put him up. And he's like, is she for real?
Yeah, she about to sock me.
You know, she about to go down, right? Yeah. So it's just kind of dealing with what you have to deal with and then the unknown what we deal with. So like you said earlier, right? We're all one big team. We help each other out, right? We're going to deal with them on the street. We're going to send them to jail. If they go to state prison, they go to state prison. If not, they're going to be back on those streets, and we got to deal with them again.
Man. So I know AJ got to run soon because you got to go to work, right?
Yes, sir.
But real quick, what's your most craziest story, bro, inside?
Craziest story inside. Craziest story inside is actually prior to me leaving, I had transferred to a women's institution, right? And they had me working in a unit where everybody was mental psyche wasn't all there. Right, so you got to walk past every I want to say 30 minutes or whatever, and it's called the pipe, right? So you have to like click these little buttons on their cell doors to pretty much show that you're doing your job, right? And one night I get done, I'm sitting there, I look at the clock, I'm like, all right, I almost got it, and I hear a loud noise, boom. So I'm like, what? And there's this one girl, she was up all night, and I'm like, why are you always up? I just drink coffee. So I'm like, all right, man. So I hear a loud noise. So I'm like, man, let me go down there and check what's this girl. This girl's out, blood everywhere. I'm like, what? She had a seizure, right? Fell, hit her head on the desk, and everything in those cells is metal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. Everything in those cells is metal. Boom, she's gushing. I'm like, oh, no. So I'm like, I ain't going in there, man. So I put my gloves on. I put the medical emergency out, right? The medical staff got there pretty fast because certain working those overnight, you never go into a cell solo, right? It could be a setup, whatever the case may be, right? So you can't go in by yourself. Man, just seeing the amount of blood coming from that lady's head, she ended up being okay or whatever, but, oh, man. Then my night just got wild because all the other girls is up now. They wondering what's wrong with her. Officer Mason, where my girl at?
And they probably love some Officer Mason up in there.
Hey, chill out, man.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, chill out.
Chocolate Drop. That was his nickname in there, Chocolate Drop.
Nah, man.
Officer Chocolate Drop.
Hey, real quick, I got a funny story real quick before you get out of here of Mason, bro. So let me show you how smart this dude is, bro.
Oh, man.
So recently at work, he already know where I'm going. So recently, I came in, and so you know, at police departments, like everybody talk, everybody knows, like, you know, what happened if there's a crazy story that happened or whatever. So, anyways, there was a call for service. Some guy that was crazy in a wheelchair. My man was like tripping, right? And I'll let Miles tell the story how he wants to in a minute, but this is how I heard it. So, dude in the wheelchair is like tripping, like talking about he want to fight some cops, yada yada yada. So Miles show up first. And so the dude, Miles not knowing anything, Miles like, all right, cool, let me go talk to this dude. And my man just had the eye of the tiger, bro. Was like, oh, I'm going for it, bro. So he started wheeling to Miles like real fast. Like, I need you to get this visual with me, right? So he started wheeling to Miles like real fast, bro. Like, oh yeah, I'm about to give it to this officer, right? So Miles, being the quick thinker that he is, bro, he look around, look at his environment, and he noticed that there's sand where he's at. So Miles go stand in the sand, bro. So my man wheel over to the sand. He like, bro, I can't get through that, bro.
Look, man, hold on.
So my man, so Miles just standing in the sand while he talking to him.
Dude, when I showed up to a park. I'm at a park. It was a call for service. A guy at the park just screaming, right? So I get there. I see the guy in the wheelchair. I had just met the guy the day prior, right? So he was cool. So I'm like, oh, I know what this is. This should be a quick call for service. We'll calm him down, get him up out of here. Man, went all south. So I see him, I call his name, and he looks at me, turns his wheels towards me, right? And he starts wheeling as he's cursing at me, right? So I'm like, is he serious right now?
See the smoke coming up with the wheels, bro.
So I'm like staring at him, and I'm talking to him, hey, what's going on? You doing all right today? And he's just, F-bombs, F-bombs, F-bombs. So I'm like, oh, nah. All right, so I take a step back, and I kind of like look around. So I like back up a little bit to create my distance. So he's just like, I'm like, oh, he's really trying to fight me right now.
Yeah.
I'm not about to fight this dude in the wheelchair, right?
Catch them hands.
Right. So I'm like, I look at him, and he's still trying to get me. So I'm like, man, I'm about to walk into this sand pit. I know it. I know them wheels. I know them wheels can't go in the sand pit. So he rolls into the sand pit, and he gets stuck. And he's just like trying to get to me, but he's just stuck, and he's just angry, right? So he puts it in reverse. He backs up, and he's just literally just sitting on the sidewalk, just cursing me out, man. And I'm like,
oh,
dude, what is your problem?
Man, Miles just start getting petty with it. Walk up, closing, and back up again.
Hey, I like the way he said it. Like, man, I'm gonna just stand in the sand pit real quick.
I ain't got time for this. Mind you, it was like 7 a.m. I'm like, it's too early for the shenanigans, man.
I ain't even had breakfast, man. So, hey, I would love to continue. We're going to have Miles back on, man, because there's so many other unanswered questions that I have, man. And I know a lot of people have been asking. So, but Miles, bro, thanks for being. It's an honor, bro, to working side by side you. Finally, you know, I get he made the leap. And if you're a correctional officer out there, stay motivated. We need you. You guys matter just as much as anybody else. So you guys are really on the front lines. Talk to my buddy Mishan, who works in custody at the county jail, and he's talking about at LA County, COVID-19 is through the roof right now. So you guys truly do matter. AJ, you have any Instagram meanies today?
No, I don't. Actually, hold on. I think I do. Hold on. Because I had a couple saved from the other day. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. We need that. We can't go episode without it. And we'll do this for the next episode. Did you guys read my the calls for service that we get, bro, for this COVID-19? I was sending screenshots to you. Oh, I got to go through some of those, bro. I got a top 10 list for sure, bro. It's from you know what it's, oh, bro, no. some of that stuff is crazy. All right,
here we go. This one comes from, and this is really his name, John Doe with an extra E at the end, 183 from Instagram. F this KKK member. Everything he do is bull bleep. There you go. I don't know why I gotta be a KKK member. Why I gotta be in the Klan?
Hey, I got something funny. Somebody sent me last night. We posted a story. It was you and I side by side on the last podcast, and they were like, "Man, your boy's mustache is distracting me."
It's majestic. It might not look like it now because I just woke up, but it's majestic.
Hey, when I get hit up, somebody said, "Oh yeah, here goes another one." Where is it at? She said, "Oh, where was it, bro? Oh, shoot. I can't find it." But somebody basically said AJ looked like he about to go give out candy.
All he needs is a van.
Yeah, all he needs is a van.
That's it.
Hey, you got to leave right now, AJ?
Yeah, I do got to head up. Yep.
Oh, okay. I'll have to save the story for next time. There's a quick story, but it was a really cool story about how social media really connects people. Long story short, I met somebody from a TV show that my wife and I just so happened to watch like 4 weeks ago, who's been one of our followers. Pretty cool though. So anyways, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We love you guys. If you guys enjoy this podcast, give us a 5-star rating. Also a review. We love the reviews. It's because of you guys and because of your voice that we got my boy Miles on. We want to listen to what your guys' needs are. Dispatchers, we have not forgot about y'all. We are going to get a dispatcher on here very, very soon. So we have not forgotten about you guys. Shout out to all of our dispatchers out there. This is Dispatcher Appreciation Week. And so we want you guys to know that we truly, truly appreciate you. You guys are the backbone to what we do. If we didn't have you guys, we couldn't do what we do. So shout out to all the dispatchers because you guys have a tough job. A lot of times it goes forgotten that you guys are the ones that are hearing the crisis before we even hear it. The people that are taking their last breath on the phone as you're trying to send officers there. The people that are getting beat up and you're listening to it as you're sending officers there. Those are things that people don't realize you guys go through. So shout out to all of you dispatchers out there because you truly do matter. So we love you guys. Thank you. Any last parting thoughts, AJ?
Be firm, but be fair.
Be firm, be fair. I like it. Miles, anything, bro?
Hey, first of all, I just want to thank you guys for having me on your show. I appreciate it, man. Love you guys.
Oh, all day. Savage.
Have a good one, everyone.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.